by 2030. The state accomplice witness Mbuso Nkosi has submitted to the court that the plot to murder Victor Gamete was hatched by him, Sipho Shongwe and Spiwa Datangubane together with Charlie. Now the Minister of Sports, Harris Blunga, has launched the Under-15 football tournament known as Pick and Pay Soccer Tournament with a package of over 800,000 Malangeni. And now the news in detail. The Minister of Natural Resources and Energy, Peter Bembe, says the visible climate change impacts, which includes storms and high temperatures, calls for emergency actions for energy transition towards the net zero emissions by 2030. The minister was speaking during this year's launch of the Earth Hour in an event where he was represented by the Principal Secretary in the Ministry, Dorcas Dlamini.
The Earth Hour event is held annually, encouraging individuals, communities, and businesses to turn off non-essential electric lights for an hour from 8:30 to 9:30 p.m. towards the end of March as a symbol of commitment to the planet. The Kingdom of Eswatini joined the campaign in 2011 and has saved 54 megawatts of electricity last year through the campaign. Speaking during this year's launch, the Minister of Natural Resources and Energy, Peter Bembe, who was represented by the Principal Secretary in the Ministry, Dorcas Dlamini, said there is a need to take clear steps towards fixing relationship with nature.
This year, the Earth Hour aims to increase awareness and spark global conversation on the energy, water, food nexus and protecting nature not only to combat the climate crisis, but to ensure that our own health, happiness, prosperity, and even survival are vital for all our futures. Ladies and gentlemen, we are in the middle of a health crisis. Climate change is happening and is threatening our very own existence. As an example, the COVID-19 pandemic is not an isolated event, and therefore there is a need to take clear steps to immediately fix our relationship with nature.
The managing director of the Eswatini Electricity Company, Ernest Mkonta, said the company spent 40 million Malangeni in repairs of infrastructure due to the climate-related impacts last year.
Last year, EEC spent about 40 million Malangeni to repair infrastructure as a result of climate change related impacts on the infrastructure. And this is a huge money that we spent, which would have otherwise been saved. It is therefore prudent for us to balance our developmental needs against sustainable development needs to meet the sustainable development goals, no matter how small the contributions can be.
This year's Earth Hour event will be held on March 26 under the theme Protect Nature, Biodiversity and Make an Effort Wherever You Are. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, I am Samkeswe Koza with Fumeko Sinzinesa Mbabane.
The Ministry of ICT will soon launch the National Household Survey program where they will go door to door with the aim of finding out how many homesteads have access to national television and radio broadcast in Eswatini. Now, the Director of Communications in the Ministry of ICT, Andreas Dlamini, says Mapalaleni and Masaisini areas who previously had scarcity accessing the local channels on Channel 33 on the set-top box are now able to.
The Ministry of ICT will soon launch the National Household Survey where they will visit homesteads and surveying if they have access to the national broadcast, mainly TV and radio. Some places, including Masaisini area in the Shisaroni region and Mapaleni area in the Ho regions, previously did not receive the local channels on Channel 33 on the set-top boxes, but that has since changed. The Director of Communications in the Ministry of ICT, Andreas Dlamini, says some still held on to the knowledge that they did not receive Eswatini TV and the Maswati channels, yet they only have to buy and connect their set-top boxes.
Kusho ukuthi njengoba yakhiwa le network lensha yakavarisha vele yafika etindzabeni letinenge even le Maswati kwendlula lebe kungeko phambilini. Angisho nje tsatsothi ukuthi i-coverage yethu kukhona ama-transmitters ethu lamasha lesawafaka lebekangekho ngalo 2015 besiwafake nyalo nga 2018 2019 safaka emaseyisini sawafaka emaphalaleni lokusho ukuthi leto tindzawo leto nyalo nato betito i-TV kucala nyalo setinayo kepha-ke yathi nayingena le transmitter ngalo 2019 kwakhanzaka ukuthi le frequency yakhona ihlukile kufuna bashintshe abantu basethe esiteshi lesehlukile kepha-ke sabese-ke siyayibuyisa-ke eminyakeni lophelile ukuthi saloyifana naleli letinye lo channel 33 lokusho ukuthi nje-ke nangabe umbukeli ekhaya ukhanza kokuthi ukuleti ndzawo leti tabomaseyisini nabomaphalaleni sithombe simlahlekele kanti bekasitfola funa bese switcha back to lo 33 le ngona live lonke lisebenta ngaye lengakuveta-ke dzadzewethu ukuthi sive sekucaphele kokuthi tinengi tindzawo la even la Kangwane lapho khona abantu bebati kokuthi bede i-television solo bacabanga ukuthi solo bede kanti nyalo sebanayo mane kokuthi abakayifaki le television abakamfaki lo sigujana.
Dlamini says they will embark on the survey to have information on whether households receive local TVs and radio, so they will know where to improve as a ministry. For Eswatini TV News, I'm Kian MCB with Samuel Swekoza and Vuminko Sinzinisa. Babane.
To create business linkages amongst industries in Eswatini, especially on the agriculture, energy and construction sector, the Eswatini Investment Promotion Authority, in partnership with Fespeak and the Thames Water World Hotel, will host a 3-day Vusumnoto Expo. This was said by the manager of domestic trade at IPA, Specifically Ngabinze.
To revive the country's economy, which has taken a knock from the effects of the recent political unrest and the COVID-19 pandemic, the Eswatini Investment Promotion Authority, EIPA, the Federation of Eswatini Business Community, Fespeak, and the Times Water World Hotel have collaborated to host the first Vusumnoto Expo 2022. Specifically Ngabinze, who is the manager of domestic trade at EIPA, said the aim of the 3-day expo is to create business linkages amongst industries in Eswatini while giving special focus to the agriculture, energy and construction sector.
If you remember very well, my mandate given to SIPA by the Ministry of Commerce, Industry and Trade is to ensure that we promote local businesses, local products and local services to the local and international market. Thus, it also entails partnering with the local institutions in ensuring that we make products that are made or produced in Swaziland exposed to everybody who's a willing trader. So we decided to come in collaboration with Fespeak and Thames Water World in hosting our first Vusumnoto for Expo 2022, which will be engulfed in the issues of exhibition and also conferencing. It will start on the 23rd of March and ending on the 26th of March at Thames Water World.
Interested businesses can download application forms from www.fespeak.net or www.investeswatini.org.sz. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, I'm Samuel Swekoza with Vuminko Sinzinisa and Moses Mkonta Babane.
From the High Court today, the state accomplice witness Mbuso Nkosi has submitted to the court that the plot to murder Victor Kamete was hatched by him, Sipo Shongwe, Sipiwe Tata Ngubane, together with Charlie. Now, Nkosi revealed this before court when he was cross-examined by Shongwe's lawyers, advocate Lawrence Holt.
The accomplice witness in the late Victor Kamete's murder case, Mbuso Nkosi, continued to be cross-examined by Shongwe's lawyers. The matter is before High Court Judge Nkosinathi Masego. During the cross-examination by Shongwe's lawyers, Ncaza was reminded a couple of times that he is supposed to stick to the truth. Advocate Hotz asked Ncaza why his statement presented before court does not correspond with his oral testimony concerning the case before court. Hotz stated that he is going to prove to the court that Ncaza is a cold-blood murderer. Advocate Hotz put it before the court that the accused never met a person by the name of Farouk. Ncaza explained that he is aware that some information has been omitted from the statement, which is the reason why he asked that the then lawyer Nell to discontinue representing them in court. Ngaza stated that it was very hard to get hold of Nell, as he was able to note a couple of times that there was an information that needed to be added, although Nell was a scarce man to be found. Ngaza put it before court that he is not a cold-blood killer because he only specializes on robberies. Ngaza also stated that he was forced to commit the murder case. Advocate Hotz asked Ngaza why he had to look at the public gallery when asked to identify Shongwe in court. Ngaza stated that he already knew Shongwe because they had met before. Advocate Hotz asked Ngaza the type of relationship that he had with Farouk. Ngaza explained that he used to sell stripped car parts to Farouk as he knew Ngaza's specialty. Ngaza reiterated that it wasn't his intention to commit the murder. He was forced. Ngaza stated that the accused Sipho Shongwe provided 2 guns, a phone, a SIM card and money. Advocate Hotz again reminded Ngaza that his oral testimony doesn't correspond with the statement he presented before court. Ngaza still maintained that he tried to fix the statement by incorporating the missing information. Ngaza explained before the court that he asked his friend Ngubane to come with him for a robbery in Eswatini. Ngaza says he decided not to tell Tata what was really going on. He said Tata, up to this day, they are not in good terms because he lied to him. Ngaza says his reason was that he didn't want to fight, and he also wanted Tata to be able to report back to his family should anything happen to him. Kosi explained before court that Charlie showed him the deceased's picture as per Shongwe's orders. Kosi says the picture that Charlie showed him was from a newspaper article which alleged that Kamete was behind the death of a young lady called Tiffany. Kosi claimed that this allegation was one of the reasons that many people were not happy with the deceased in Eswatini. Ngaza further explained before the court that Shongo gave him a telephone call telling him that Gamete's traditional healer has stripped him of his power, thus killing him was going to be easy. Ngaza claimed that Shongwe also said that after executing the job, they will be required to be cleansed by Shongwe's traditional healer. Ngaza says that this got him so suspicious such that he decided that he was going to do things his way. Ngaza explained that he made it a point that wherever he went, he left trails or evidence. Ngaza says that whenever he was committing crime, especially in South Africa, he always put on a balaclava and hand gloves. Ngaza says when he came to Eswatini, it was different because its intention were to leave evidence behind. That is the reason he never covered his face when committing the crime. Ngaza submitted that when him and his friend went to Solanis, he gave the women he was proposing love to his real name and his telephone number. Ngaza stated that when they arrived in a certain gas station in Ezulwini, Ngubane had a stomach issue and went to the bush to relieve himself while he was left with Charlie in the car, who suggested that they do what they came for. Ngaza says Charlie handed him a gun. Eventually, that was when the murder was committed. Ngaza said Shongwe called to say that he had already arranged with local soldiers and police officers to allow Ngaza and his friends to skip the kingdom. Advocate Hotz asked Ngaza why he didn't tell the deceased what was happening because he had the chance, as Tata was in the bush relieving himself and Charlie was left in the car. He also wanted to know why he ran away after the shooting. Ngaza explained that he didn't know who the deceased was and how much power and influence he had in Eswatini. He said if he knew, he would have done that. Ngaza further explained that it is pure lie that he said something while shooting the deceased. Ngaza said he knew nothing about Gamete. Previously, some individuals who appeared before the court to testify shared with the court that Ncaza said words like, "We are tired of you, Mr. Kamete," when the deceased was being shot. Meanwhile, there was an interruption in court where a certain man was asked to leave the court after police officers thought that he was taking pictures while the court was in session. The man, however, was then allowed back in. The matter is expected to continue on Thursday. For Eswatini TV News Sondomlangeni, High Court.
Classes have resumed at Ichebovo Primary School and learners are back in class now. This follows an incident where a group of unknown people locked the school's gates with their gridlock, making it inaccessible for scholars.
On Tuesday, unknown people locked the main gate at Chebovo Primary School in the Manzini region under the Ngwembisi constituency, which made entrance to the school inaccessible. Lessons were suspended for the day and learners were turned back home. On Wednesday, things got back to normal as the gate was once again opened and learners were in class. In a conversation with the head teacher of the school who asked to remain anonymous, they managed to trace the people who locked the school's gate and hear them out and their reasons for the act as well as their grievances. She says they are tasked with raising a generation of people who will learn how to solve differences in a civil way through dialoguing rather than resorting to such acts which are not appropriate for a school set up. She says they do not condone the act, but they are grateful that they managed to be calm. She says police officers also came to ensure protection of property and life and that those concerned reach a common ground. She says lessons resumed peacefully. She says with the minimal resources available, they trying to run the school together with the school's committee. When finding out more information about the incident, one of the reasons the news crew found was that there was tall grass in the school, yet a grass cutter was bought. The head teacher did not deny that, saying all was done in stages and planned. For Eswatini TV News, MKNMCB, some visuals provided by Chebovo Primary School sources.
The Gwaka Indoors organization has officially handed over repaired desks to the Ministry of Education. Now, these desks were repaired by Gwaka Indoors personnel. The project started in 2018. Now, the event took place at Lutse Primary School.
Gwaka Indoors organization officially handed over a social entrepreneurship and income generation program to the Ministry of Education, which was a program where they repaired desks in schools, then returned them upon repairing. This is a program which is supported, amongst others, by the British High Commission and the U.S. Embassy. The Gwaka Indoors project coordinator Nosisa Ngwanyana says this project started in 2018.
This program has started in 2018 to date, where we repair broken desks in primary schools across the country and put them back into active use. So we use our KI Majahat that have been trained in different skills, including carpentry and welding, where they use those skills and repair desks in primary schools. So this work is free of charge to the primary schools, but we get funding from the British High Commission, we get funding from the German Embassy, Swaziland Charitable Trust, and Swaziland Schools Project.
Gwaluseni Central Primary School head teacher Muzuetu Simelane, who also benefited from the project, says they are grateful to Gwaka Indoors as a school for this project.
We really appreciate the gesture that we got from Gwaka Indoors when they came into our school, fixing desks that were broken. We are a school that has got such a large number of learners, so quite a number of desks were broken. So when they came in, they fixed the desktops, which then made learning for the learners more comfortable, because we know that teaching and learning cannot occur when the environment is not conducive. So Gwaka Indoors came in and they ensured that the learners would learn in an environment where the furniture is okay.
British High Commissioner Simon Boyden, who supported the project, says this will benefit scholars and enable them to have a good education.
The one we've spoken about, which is the schools and the school children, and contributing to their education in a safe environment. Secondly, of course, the apprentices who are repairing and refurbishing the desks are gaining some valuable vocational and technical skills, which they can then use to gain more permanent full-time employment. And then thirdly, and perhaps most importantly, those young apprentices are also developing a whole range of social skills.
Members from the National Youth Council were also present. Lutse constituency head Mensenzo Shongwe encouraged the organization to do the same to other constituencies as well. For Eswatini TV News, I'm Kian MCB, Lutse.
Right now, let's see how our markets are performing today in our financial report.
Bank. It can be.
Welcome back. Now we take a look at news making headlines in the world of sports. Now, the Minister for Sports, Harry Siblunga, has launched an under-15 football tournament known as the Pick and Pay Soccer Tournament with a package worth over 800,000 Malangeni. The Minister says local elite leagues like the Premier League and the women football will benefit from the youngsters who excel in the tournament. Now, the tournament was launched at the Hilton Garden Inn in Babani.
In the way of developing local football, the Eswatini Football Association has partnered with the Eswatini Pick and Pay Group, where they launched an under-15 football tournament that will be known as Pick and Pay Eswatini Under-15 Soccer Tournament, with a package worth over 800,000 Marangeni. Minister for Sports, Haris Burunga, says elite leagues like Premier League and women football will with no doubt benefit from their rising stars.
We are all aware that Premier League rules now require each club to have properly functional youth teams. However, due to the lack of a coordinated talent identification and nurturing program down below from which to scout and pick talent from, Premier League clubs have not been able to enjoy the benefits of a rule whose intentions are pure and actually meant to help them in the long run. Perhaps the standout feature of this program is its equal focus on both boys and girls, ensuring that for once our girls are not left behind in sport development. This is particularly important because while the country has a host of women's senior national teams across a variety of sporting codes, women's sport development programs to fit into the national teams are almost non-existent. This program we're launching here this morning puts an end to that.
Peter Simelane, who is the Football Association president, mentioned that the partnership between the two parties, being Football Association and Pick and Pay Eswatini, is indeed a sign of development of local football. Pick and Pay Eswatini representatives also expressed their gratitude to be given a chance to be involved in the development of local football. The tournament that will last for 6 months will begin on the 23rd of April to the 17th of September this year within all the 4 regions of the country. The two parties have a sponsorship agreement of 3 years. For Eswatini TV Sports, Fabrice Musodera, Babane.
Green Mamba have collected their last 3 points of the first round of the current MTN Premier League season when they beat Manzini Seabirds in the game that was played at the Prince of Wales in Babane.
The MTN Premier League midweek action saw Manzini Seabirds taking on Green Mamba at the Prince of Wales. Green Mamba was quick to make their presence felt when Neliswa Ngambure opened the score within 5 minutes of the game. 20 minutes later into the game, Seabirds captain Musi Sabeze equalized through a beautiful header from Korani Chokosbanze's cross as both clubs headed to half-time in an all-goal position. In the second half, Seabirds continued to try their luck but failed to get the ball in the back of the net. In the last 5 minutes of the game, Siabonga Simirani got the second for Green Mamba, which also confirmed their 3 points of the day, something that coach Dumsan Makanya was happy about.
But I have to praise the young players because Green Mamba is having a lot of injuries. So if you can see, a lot of new players they were playing today. So otherwise very injuries.
Christian Tfala was quick to express his Christian Tfala of Manzini Seabirds was quick to express his disappointment of his boys' performance.
I can't falter my players. Ngicabanga ukuthi lokhu sibulele kakhulu. We played Leopard and within a space of 3 days we had to play another team fresh, and that game, yes, it's hard because it was too hot and we played at high intensity. So we did not have enough rest, but we can't complain. We need to forge our way forward.
The first round of the current season ended on that note, with all the clubs completing their 15 games except Royal Leopard and Babane Highlanders, who have a game in hand between themselves. For Eswatini TV Sports, Fabrice Msunera, Babane. That brings us to the conclusion of our news bulletin at 8 at Eswatini TV. But before we go, let's have a relook of our top stories. The Minister of Natural Resources and Energy, Peter Bembe, says the visible climate change impacts, which includes storms and high temperatures, calls for emergency actions for energy transition towards net zero emissions by 2030. The state accomplice witness Mbuso Nkosi has submitted to the court that the plot to murder Victor Kamete was hatched by him, Sipho Shongwe, and Spiwa Ngubane, together with Charlie. Now, the Minister of Sports, Harris Blunga, has launched the Under-15 football tournament known as Pick and Pay Soccer Tournament with a package of over 800,000 Malangeni. Beautiful Kingdom of Eswatini, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for choosing to stay with us. That brings us to the conclusion of our news bulletin at 8 at Eswatini TV. We shall cross over to the Weather Center for a detailed weather report from us and the rest of the crew. For now, it's good night and God bless.
And your awards card, please.
The Spar Rewards Grand Cash Giveaway is back, where you can win instant cash to spend on what you want the most. Plus, get amazing savings, like Jacob's Crown and Coffee for only $84.99 or Huggies Dry Comfort Nappies Jumbo Pack for just $169.99. Win your share of thousands in cash instantly with the Spar Rewards Grand Cash Giveaway, only at Spar.